Well, hello again, everybody, and welcome to my garden. My name is Brandon, an ecologically focused gardener growing things in Southeast Texas. Today is September the 1st. Oh my gosh, this year is going by way too fast. And today I want to talk about this much beloved, normally shrub, but in my case, tree. This is Aloia virgata, aka sweet almond verbena. And if you smell the flowers, then you will know why. I was telling my boyfriend today, I think the best way to describe the fragrance is a freshly opened box of honey bunches of oats. They are super sweet. It smells like honey, sugar, almonds, maybe a little bit of a spice in there. It's super nice. And I have been training this into a tree form for the last couple of years because it surprised me one year when it did not die to the ground in the winter's freezes, and I decided to just keep it going and see how far I could push it, and it's been really pleasing me here. Now there are a few problems that I'll talk about, but today my little task, which I have to do about once a month, is to well, let me get you a little closer and you can see. So as I was saying in the beginning of this video, this plant does not usually present itself in the form of a tree. It's usually a shrub, kind of like there's another much beloved flowering tree here in Southeast Texas called the vitex, or the chaste tree. You will notice that if you try to coax it into becoming a tree form, it will do this. It will try to become a shrub by putting out all of these water sprouts along the trunk. So like I said, about once a month, I've got to go in and I've got to clean all of this off in order to maintain it in its tree form. There's another thing that happens after storms, this actually being one of them because of the excess water, and I'll show you that in a minute. But before we do this, let's have a look at this tree over the last couple of years. Okay, so I believe this was the year that I planted this aloisia. This was in 2022. You can see it here. I highlight it in a moment. This was in January after our hard freeze that year of 2023. This was a few months later in July. Yes, July. Peak boyfriend over there. This was after Hurricane Beryl. A couple of weeks after Hurricane Beryl. You can see it there on the right. This was in December 2024. It's looking pretty good. This is this was a snowstorm that happened in January of this year, just showing this so that you can see that it survives harsh conditions. So this is in March after that snowstorm. You can see it growing back up at the top. And this is just a pretty photo from back in May. Such a pretty time of the year. So this is a pretty simple process, removing the water sprouts. Just basically get as close as you can to the tree and chop them off. Normally I love lately to use my grab and hold pruners. Oh, I'm sorry, I keep calling them that, cut and hold pruners. But they are not what you'd want to use in this case, but because they don't cut very close to the trunk. So I use my pruners like these because they can get very flat up against the trunk to cut these shoots off. And it's really a very quick and easy process. And honestly, if you were a hustler, which I'm really not, I'm not really money focused, but here I am on YouTube. I'm trying mostly to do YouTube to just hang out with people, try to make the world a little bit of a better place by getting people into gardening if I can. But if you wanted to, you could make approximately 500 million new plants out of all these cuttings. They do root. I'm not gonna say they're the easiest cuttings to root. They do have a little bit of a challenge to them. If I'm not mistaken, the last time I tried to root these, it was a bit easier rooting the more mature woody branches than it was the root suckers. I mean, the trunk suckers. But I believe I was able to get these to root. I don't think I used a rooting hormone, so that was probably my problem there. Some plants you really don't need a rooting hormone, and some you really do, or it helps a ton if you do use it. So, as I said, this is a very quick and easy task. It's really not a big deal, and for the purposes of maintaining this as a tree trunk form, I'm totally willing to do this stuff. Now, the other plant I was mentioning, the Vitex, I'm not as willing to do this anymore with them. I'm growing less and less of them, partly because they are an invasive species in our area, which has developed this reputation, like I said, for being this great drought-tolerant shrub or tree. And it's super cool looking. It's got beautiful flowers, great for hummingbirds and pollinators. So it does earn some points there with me. However, it does spread seeds around and make little miniature plants everywhere, and which eventually turn into big plants. So, well, as you can see, I've pretty much finished all my maintenance there. Now there is a little bit of top maintenance that I could do. I don't know if I'm going to or not, but I do want to talk real quick about how this plant has slowly over the years kind of leaned down on me and what I do about it. And if you're in a similar situation, although probably not too many people are because I'm a little bit crazy in the way that I grow my plants, what you might be able to do about it. Guess I'm gonna go ahead and take off these couple here. And now I will call it done. So before I got over here and started filming a minute ago, I had this propping the trunk of this tree up. Now this trunk is fused at the base, so if you move one of these, all three of them move. And so because this has been leaning a little bit more down over the years as the weight just increases on the top, and when a rainstorm comes through, it softens the soil around here, and the whole thing just kind of wants to sag down. I have to do something about that, because if I don't, at some point I walk through here and hit my head on it, and I just can't. No, I've talked about that in my videos before. I cannot have branches hitting me in the face. It's a little bit much for me. Sensory overload. So what I've been doing is I had this guy left over, but before I fully prop this up, I want to show you the difference that it makes. So I need to move the camera. So I mostly want you to pay attention to what happens up near the roof of the house when I do this. So I could put a little bit of padding on here to make this a little less harsh on the branch here that I'm propping this up with, but I may cut this branch off anyways in the future. That's why I haven't been so crazy about it. But you see, by pushing this up, that makes a really big difference in where all of these branches are. Now I can walk through here really easily without having to worry about hitting my head on any of these branches. But another thing that you can do to kind of mitigate this issue whenever you're dealing with plants like this, that you're really trying to make this fairy dreamscape of tunnels and things that you walk through, is you can come and you can cut the branches off that are leaning down in the way at a point and kind of reduce the weight that way and let the plant move upwards that way. Like I said, let me bring the camera in closer for this. In the future, I may come in, and I don't like to cut branches this thick off too often, but I could cut this here and remove this, and then this will lift a little because of the reduced weight, and then this branch here will become really the new trunk and the new leader. And you can see, if you can see past the wood board here, maybe you can't, Maybe I'll adjust a little bit here so that you can. You can see here where I've done that a few times, where there was a branch jutting out here and here, and I cut those off, and then this became the new branch, and then for some reason I decided I needed to leave this one here. So these things change over time like a bonsai. It's a living sculpture. And I've just really enjoyed the process over the years. Looks like I've got a broken branch. Who knows why this may have broken, but it's probably the storms. When you get all these trees and things moving together overhead, they tend to fight with each other. This is just my opinion, y'all, but there's a photo that goes around talking about how the trees don't touch each other in the forest, and you can see the clear lines where the trees kind of separate, and it looks like this really cool pattern. And you know, it's claimed that this is this really intelligent thing that the trees do, but in reality what's probably happening is those trees are hitting each other in the wind and ripping each other's branches off, and then when there's no wind and everything's settled, you see this clear line of separation because the trees have kind of pruned each other in that process. But I just want to show this plant a little bit today and a little bit of the maintenance that goes into it. It is an amazing plant for pollinators. You can totally keep it trained as a shrub and just cut it to the ground each year. That's probably better for most people. This isn't manageable for everybody, especially if this thing falls completely over. Most people would not know what to do in that situation. And it's something that can happen. This is one thing you could do about it if you wanted with the board here. This made a huge difference, and I usually leave this on here for a period of time, and then I'll come back a month later or so and take it off, and the tree has kind of stabilized. And if I really wanted to throw things off, I could just cut the trunk off here. This was really my problem child that's really in the way, but what will likely happen is the tree will try very hard to regrow this trunk, and then I will have even more water sprouts to deal with even more frequently down there. So I've kind of set myself in here with these 3 trunks. Let's have a look at those real quick, show you what it looks like down here in the internal bits and things. All right, so we're taking a look at the internal structure of this for a moment now. So I used to have this supported by an anchor that went into the brick wall here, but then I kind of freaked out when it got ripped out, and I decided not to do that anymore. There's still a little hole there where I had it anchored, but this is what the trunk looks like down at the bottom. It's like I said, it's got 3 larger fused trunks here, and I suppose after this video maybe I'll finally remove my mess here. But the trunk is very pretty. I mean, it could separate and break here. I really don't like multi-trunk trees for this reason, because this isn't really fused. This could fall apart. That's kind of why you see I've got this this guy going right here to kind of hold things together. But this guy does grow so quickly that, you know, it swallows the ropes eventually, which is what happened here. Come on, gimbal. Let's see, there we go. That's what happened here, and then I've got a few other little scars too where that happened. Well, thanks for joining me today on this short little video. I hope I can keep it short after all my editing and such. I'm gonna go see if I can take some of these flowers off and stick them inside. Have a nice fragrance inside for a little bit. Otherwise, these are gonna go in the compost, or I'm gonna wood chip them real quick, but I may not get around to that today. I'm losing daylight here. So it was nice to see y'all for a minute on this Monday, Labor Day, and I'll see you in the next one.